the winemaking process and a little bit about what it takes to grow grapes, what it takes to make the wine itself, and then kind of a little bit about what pairs well with which wines, and then also, how to chill it in like 15 minutes to get you to that perfect temperature when it's hot outside that you want it. So let's start at the very beginning, which is this time of year is a good way to start. First of all, how do you pick the land? The way that you do that is you actually do a soil sample, and you're looking for loamy soil. You're looking for soil that is a little bit rocky, a little bit stressed. Why? Because grapes and grapevines actually need to stress out a little bit when they're making their vines, because when they do that, that makes the wine a little bit more complex, the grapes more complex that you're making the wine out of. This time of year right now is January. So what it is it is the time that they're going to prune the grapes. But before they get started, they have to plant them. And guess what? For the first 3 years, they plant vines and they do not use the fruit. So what they will do is they will let those vines grow, and then they'll cut the fruit off, and then they'll prune them back. They'll let them grow a second year, and then they'll cut the fruit off, and then they'll let them grow back. The third year, they'll let them grow, they'll cut the fruit off, and then they'll prune it back. About the fourth year, they can go ahead and use those grapes and start making wine out of it. So in January, what happens, they will prune it back. And if you look down the row of a vineyard in January, it looks like one big long row of sticks. They leave a little bit of a piece of a vine on it. It's called a cordon. And they kind of count the numbers so they kind of know which clusters and where they want things to be. It will be that way, and they will go through and clean all the vineyard up this time of year, and they will let it sit. Now, you will start to notice in later spring, it will start to sweat, meaning that there's going to be some moisture coming out of it. That's good. That's a good thing. And then around April, you're going to have what we call bud break. Several wineries have bud break festivals. What that means is the buds are about to break, and you're going to start to see growth. Well, when that happens, it is amazing. They usually have like pastors out there. They'll do blessings of the vines. They'll have big parties. They'll get together and they'll have a good time. And then you will have the flowering phase. Well, when you look at a grape cluster, it looks like a grape cluster but with a bunch of flowers in it. So when you see that, that is around around Mayish usually, and then you'll start to see little berries that grow on it. Now, understand it is the most dangerous time during flowering for things to happen. One, you could have a freeze, and that will kill your crop. Two, you could have a heavy rain, and that can knock those flowers off. So this is always a roll of the dice when it comes to the weather in Oklahoma. That's why it's kind of, when people say they grow grapes in California, you're like, okay, you have perfect weather, perfect everything, and you're putting grapes in the ground. It's not that, not that difficult. Where like in Oklahoma, you have no idea what you're going to get. So you really have to be skilled at what you're doing in order to pull the grapes out and make sure that you have what you need. So then in the summertime is the growth area. This is a fantastic time to be going to the vineyards. Why? Because one, they're beautiful. They're leafy. They're beautiful. You can walk the vineyards. You can taste wine in the tasting rooms. And this is wedding season. So you will see May through August is a great time for people to have weddings at the vineyards across the state. And it is amazing and beautiful and wonderful. Check with your local winery and see what their vineyard wedding rates are. Usually you can talk about cases and things like that when you buy them on site, and whether you bring in your own band or they do it for you, or all the different fun things. We in Oklahoma have veraison, which means that all the grapes are going to go from green to a red or purple color in about middle July is when it starts to happen, and by end of July it's ready to go. Early August, because in Oklahoma we're very warm here, and so that happens very quickly. You'll notice it in Napa Valley and on the West Coast, they have a cooler climate. They have the winds coming up off the ocean. It keeps it a perfect temperature and cooler, so they will go a little bit later than we are, and then they can go a little bit longer than we do, and so you can see a little bit of difference. Ours is relatively young. Then we now, most places in Oklahoma, they hand pick. Why? Because we don't have that much acreage. You can also do a machine pick, but we'll do a hand pick where people come in and they will cut the clusters. They also will recruit. So if you ever want to do that, they usually are having harvest festivals where you can get in there. There's also a grape stomp. I know Canadian River's done a grape stomp for the last 26 years, I believe, where you can go and stop grapes in September. They have vendors, they have live music, they have food. They end up having people that are really like out there and they dress like Lucy and they have a good time, and it's just a lot of fun, and it is incredible. So now once you get those grapes off the vine, you're like, what do you do with them? Good question. Once you pick them, you can do one thing. Usually what happens, they go into a cooler if you're not using them right away. If you're not using them right away, they're going into a cooler, and then they're going to sit there for like one day, overnight, and then you'll get them out, and then you'll get them in the tanks. So the first thing that will happen is it will go into a crusher destemmer. The crusher destemmer is about 4.5 feet tall, about 8-10 feet long, and what it does is it has an auger in it and it crushes everything up. That's leaves. You try and get as much leaves out as possible, but every once in a while there's leaves in there. There is the stems of the grapes themselves. A wine grape is about that big, so it's not your big table grapes that you're used to. And they will put it in there, and then they'll grind it all up, and then if it is a red wine, all of the stems not the stems, all the leaves or the skin and the grapes will go into a tank. So the skins on the red wine grapes go in the tank, in the stainless steel tank. They add some of the chemistry, the yeast, and then they let it sit. The longer that they let the juice and the skin of the red grape in there, the darker the red it will be. That's the tannins. Now, let me tell you, there's a little bit of sneaky out there, and that is if you want to know whether they are actually red or they're using a little bit of deception, what you can do is you can swirl your glass. If you swirl your glass and there is red on the side of your glass, that indicates that they have used dye, that they have probably falsified the fact that it's dark red. I'd rather they give me a pink Merlot than ultimately they put something out that is not true. So I think that's something you have to watch out for. But so then they leave the red skins on there. Now, once they get done, after that couple weeks, they've been on the skins for a while. The winemaker will punch it down, and then they'll stir it up and punch it down and stir it up. Then they will take the wine out of the tank. They will put it through a filter process, and anywhere from 8 to 10 filters, they'll push it through. And then if it is a red wine, it will go into an oak barrel. Now, understand, oak barrels are not inexpensive. Oak barrels are a couple $1,000s empty. Now, they hold about 25 cases of wine per barrel, and ultimately what you do is put them in there. Now, there's a couple different ways that you look at barrels. We have barrels from Arkansas, we have barrels from Hungary and Russia, but we use American oak a lot. There's what we call first run barrels. A first run barrel means it's the first time there's ever been wine in it. So when you put wine in a first run barrel, it's going to be very oaky, a lot of California-esque, a lot of like the coast where you'll see that, where you taste that oakiness of the wine itself. Or you'll have a second run barrel or a third run barrel, a little bit more subtle. In Oklahoma, we tend to have a little bit more subtlety when it comes to our oak, when it comes to our dry wines. Now, if you're doing a white wine, the process is similar but a little bit different. And then you go ahead and use a crusher destemmer, right? And then you will put it in a press. A grape press. The grape press is a big machine that you stick all the stems and everything into it, and then it has a balloon on the inside and it blows up. When it does, it pushes all the juice underneath, and then at that point the juice is then pulled by hose into a tank. The white wine will go into a stainless steel tank. There are a couple times, like a Chardonnay or some of the other wines, that you will end up having them in an oak barrel because they can be oaked, but most times they go into a stainless steel tank. They will be there for 6 months to a year, and then they'll be pulled out. Then they will be filtered at that point because they'll want to go through that fining process a couple times so that you have a clear glass of wine. Then after they're out of that and they get through the filter process, they go up, they go into the bottling process, they go in a bottle, they get corked, they get labeled, and then they'll be ready for you to buy them. If it's a red wine, it will go into the barrel, it will be there, it will come out of the barrel, it will go through that filtering process again, it will be in the corker, bottle corked, and then it will be labeled and it'll be ready to go in the cases and ready for you to buy. But that, a minimum of 18 months in a barrel, up to 2 years and longer in some places. The way that barrel happens is that winemaker's thiefing it. They're pulling a taste out every once in a while to see how it's doing. They're also blending it with other wines if they want to make a blend. There's other things that are happening. So it is an art. The winemaker is very important. nature's very important, and luck is very important, all the things. So you kind of need a little bit of everything. And so the farming is important, the land, the terroir, what's being pulled up is important. The way that you place your vineyards, most vineyards grow north and south. Why? Because so you get maximum sun exposure on the east and on the west. And so you'll get the sugar content will be really high, because the way that they know when to pick the grapes is they will have a refractometer. They will use it. They will put a juice into it. It will give them a number. The number is the number of bricks. That's sugar content. And once the bricks hit between 22 and 26, they usually will pull those grapes out. So you can do that. So again, all of this is kind of a process that happens every year. And then after harvest, what will happen is sometimes you'll get a lot of other grapes. What do you do though with all the grape skins that you don't use? Because you have leftover grape skins. A couple different things happen with them. Sometimes you'll get beer brewers that want them and they can blend it and make a beer out of it. Sometimes you can do that with older barrels. You can give that to brewers and they can make a wine barrel brew. Also, I know that OSU has taken some of the skins and they've made cosmetics out of it and flour out of it because it's high protein flour. A lot of people will feed the skins of the grapes to their animals because it's high protein, helps fatten them up, and it's a natural way of doing it. So there's a lot of different ways that you can utilize the byproduct of the grapes and the stems and everything that you don't use, so that you are essentially closing that circle and closing that loop and not just throwing it away. It is very important that when you're looking at this, it is an expensive endeavor, but it's an amazing, amazing thing to do. But you really want to get with people that know what they're doing, be a mentor. OSU is a great program in viticulture and enology. You also have one down in Texas. You have one in Missouri. So there's several different programs in our area for you to learn about viticulture and enology. But the biggest question you may have is like, what do I pair with what? There's some basics that I can teach you. The biggest basic that I want to teach you is the bolder the wine, the bolder the flavor it can handle. So, for example, if it's a Merlot or Cabernet or Chambourcin is a grape to Oklahoma that is like a rock star grape here. It is a red. It is very dry. You're looking at beef. You're looking at pasta. You're looking at hearty winter food with bold flavors. The cheeses can be aged cheddar. They can be a lot of the really strong cheeses. You could do Parmesan with that. It all goes really well. Strong cheese, strong wine. If you're doing like a Riesling, if it is a semi-sweet Riesling, you can do either a cheddar, a white. You can do Gouda. You can do Swiss. So you actually have a way to. A Riesling can go either way for a person that is a dry wine person or a sweet wine person. A dry Riesling is a little bit different, more highly acidic. Or a oak Chardonnay, also highly acidic. And so it has more of that oakiness, fall flavors, things like that. You do that with the stronger flavors. If you do a naked Chardonnay, which means it does not have oak on it, tastes a little bit more vegetal, like peppers and like spring veggies and things like that. So you would put that with, again, lighter white cheeses, softer cheeses, some brie, some camemberts, things in that way. If you do sweet, if you're like, I am a gangster rapper college girl, why? Because I like Moscato all the time. Why? Because gangster rappers rap about it and college girls love it. Ultimately, if you're a sweet wine person, you can pair that with something salty. So you can do it with anything spicy, anything that is... now, if you do sweet wine with dessert, what will happen is the sweetness of the dessert will take the sweetness away from the wine, and you may not like it because it will take away the sweetness that you're looking for. So again, you want to have that off balance, that salty and sweet. Great. Moscato's great with first of all, it's an intro wine for people that are just getting started, but it's a good chance too for people to really look at barbecue and some of the spiciness, and it's chilled and it's really just fun. Rosés are generally dry, so you can see that, and they are like a mid-level, and you can have that with all different kinds of food too as well. And then let's see what else. Now how to chill it. The most important thing that you want to know is you find out in like 20 minutes your friends are coming over. You need to get your white wine chilled. You need to get your red wine chilled. And you're like, what in the world am I going to do? Also, I'm going to give you a sangria recipe in just a second. So be ready for that. So if you want to chill it in 15 minutes, here's what you do. You take your white wine. You take your red wine that you want to chill. which is not most cabs and all that. You leave them out, you open them up and let them, be warm. But if you chill your whites and you or your sweet wine, what you do is you give it a little bath. You give it a little ice bath. Why? Because it is super important that you chill it quick. So you put a bucket of water, a bucket of ice, and you set it in there for 10 minutes. Within 10 minutes, it's within that 55-degree temperature. You're ready to open it up, pop that cork, put it in a glass, and it's going to be fantastic. People are going to love it. Now you're like, wait a minute, what about sangria? Why? Because you know what? It's summertime. I like sangria with fresh fruit. Here's what you do. You take your citrus. You have either lemons, limes, oranges. You slice it. When you slice that citrus, you then will put sugar on it. Now, what sugar you use, you can use honey, you use whatever kind of sugar you want to do that. You leave it and sit and let it steep for probably 24 hours, the sugar fruit, and just let it sit, let it sit, let it sit. Then the next day, you take that sugar fruit and you put it in a container. And what you do is you pour a bottle of red wine. Now, this bottle of red wine does not have to be the most expensive bottle of red wine. Why? Because you're essentially putting sugar and fruit in it. So use one that is fine, middle of the road, not one that is like your finest ever, but just fun to drink. And then you add a little something, something to it. It could be vodka, it could be gin, it could be tequila, it could be any clear liqueur. When you add that in and you stir it up, you have a little while to drink it, but don't wait too long. Because if you wait too long, what's going to happen is you're going to end up having it re-ferment. And when it does, it's going to spike in alcohol content more than what it already is. And that's a lot. So you're going to end up feet in the air, a big old mess. So we don't want to do that. So if you make sangria, make it, drink it, share it with friends, and have a good time. And again, the seasons are fantastic. You can throw strawberries in there coming up. You can throw peaches. You can throw all the different fruits that you want to put in there. Just put it all together, and it's beautiful in a glass. It's very pretty. It also shows your wine knowledge a little bit to be able to do that, and people love it. And it tastes delicious, and we love Mexican food and spiciness, and it just goes great together. So my hope is that you've learned a little bit about the winemaking process. You've learned a little bit about what cheese to pair with what wine. The food pairing that goes with the wine. If it's beef, if it's Italian food, if it's a strong flavor, strong wine. If it's fish, if it's something light, maybe grilled, chicken breast, lemon pepper chicken, rosemary potato, something like that, then maybe you would do a semi-sweet white. You might do a something chilled, something just a nice little accompaniment to your food. So again, is it bold in your face or is it like an accompaniment? So go taste, go check it out. Visit all of the over 50 wineries in the state of Oklahoma. Visit them, tell them that Derek from Oklahoma Wine Culture sent you. And I hope that you have a great day and that you are going to go out and enjoy this weekend. It's Valentine's Day weekend. Have a great bottle of wine and enjoy your weekend. Thank you so much.